Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Akawi. This is going to be a really fun, fast-paced, guys. I mean, if you think I'm fast, he's faster. So we're going to be talking a whole lot of energy work, both human and animals. And quickly, my name is Heather Henderson. I'm a Young Living Platinum, but I'm an energy worker, and I volunteer a lot at Mohawk Hudson at an animal shelter, and I work energetically with animals for their feelings, for their emotions. I do a lot of physical things with my own dogs, but this has grown into a passion of mine. I met Dr. Akawi back in 2011. I think it was probably the same month his clinic opened. I think Laura told me about him, and I was there like within a couple weeks, and I was probably there every week for a couple years. So we have a long relationship, and he's taught me so much, and he's always open to ideas and always open for research, look something up, how do things connect, parts and pieces. So I'm gonna send you over to Dr. Akawi. He's gonna give you all his credentials because he's got a lot of them and a lot of letters. He's a veterinarian and a veterinarian acupuncturist and a canine rehabilitation therapist. So that's a lot right there. That's a lot of letters and backgrounds and education and stuff like that. So take it away, Dr. Akawi.
Yes, in addition to that, I do acupuncture and certified in Eastern medicine. So really, this is interesting because I've learned so much from the Chinese practices with acupuncture and qi. And now I'm looking at the Hindus' tradition of energy work. And it is interesting how really thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, all traditions worked with the same energy. They call it differently. I mean, we call it qi in Chinese. We call it prana in Indian Vedic traditions. So it's amazing to see how the crossroad of the treatment really meet together. And this is the point that we're trying to make tonight. There's no one treatment will be perfect just for one thing. You really have to have an integrative approach that encompasses Eastern and Western and Indian and China, whatever it takes to make your pet better. It doesn't really matter. But I think energy is the new thing, the new discovered thing. It is present in all of our bodies. Our bodies are made from physical bodies, ethereal body, spiritual body, astral body. It is really a combination of structure, start at the more physical into more subtle energetic world. So my point of the talk today, I know a lot of you do energy and healing and psychic ability and animal communication. This is all important stuff and chakra balancing. But I really think it's more effective if we balance our own chakras first before we start working on animals. And that's because in today's life, we have so much spiritual pollution, I call it, and almost like parasites that attack your chakras and your aura and latch onto you. And so if you have some of that, which we all do, because if you have a cell phone, smartphone, you have bad electrical connections or low vibration. If you have a microwave, if you live inside of a house where you have electrical plugs everywhere, guess what? Even if you're not using electricity, there's about 2 or 3 voltage of electricity circulating around your bedroom. Our body is used to half a volt. So you imagine we have like 10 times more inside of the house. What does that do to our bodies? It blocks our chakras. And if it blocks it, then we are ill psychologically, emotionally, and physically. So this is what we want to do. You probably heard about the chakras. Let's talk about the human chakras first. And the science of the chakras really is part of meditation / yoga tradition that started in India thousands of years ago. You're probably more familiar with the regular meditation, there's hatha, and there's karma, and raja, and bhakta. There's a lot of meditations, and nothing wrong with that. You can use any meditation to balance yourself. But I'm really intrigued with the Kundalini energy, or Kundalini yoga, because the Kundalini yoga intimately related to the chakras. There are 7 chakras inside of our body, and the Kundalini yoga, discovered 2,000 years ago, the sages or the rishis wrote down what we call Upanishads. Upanishads are like verses in the Sanskrit scripture, and they wrote Upanishad describing each chakra and how you can really use your own energy to ascend it all the way up to the crown chakra. And obviously there's more spiritual meaning for that, like attaining enlightenment and becoming, really discovering your own divinity, which is really a pure consciousness. But today we're going to focus on the chakras themselves rather than go into the philosophical and the spiritual lesson, which we can have another Zoom on that. But for today, the Upanishad says there is an energy called Kundalini energy lies down at the base of our spine, and they superimposed it at the back of the spine like a dormant sleeping serpent. So we have that, everybody has that, even animals have that. And if you don't awaken that and activate it, you're really not going to benefit from it. And you probably heard stories about people having Kundalini awakening uncontrollably, during an accident or traumatic experience. We're not talking about that. We're talking about purposely trying to awaken that energy right here, which would be, if you look from the back at the base of the spine. And that serpent, so to speak, is a dormant energy. We need to awaken it. And once you do awaken it, it pierces through a central, pre-scientific nervous system described by intuitively. They mapped the nervous system, thousands of years ago, and they call it nadis. Nadis, there's a central nadi, which really moves the energy from the base of the spine all the way to the top of the head. So once you move the energy from here up to here, you really balance yourself and you balance your chakras, and in the process, you attain some enlightenment too. So what we want to do is learn how to activate our own Kundalini energy, have a Kundalini energy awakening, so we can really have a balanced chakra. Again, the Kundalini energy lays at the base of the spine, at the first chakra. The first chakra called the Muladhara chakra. You probably heard of that. Muladhara means root, the root chakra, the pelvic chakra. And of course, they describe those chakras in analogy to lotuses. You know what? Lotus is a beautiful flower with petals. So the first chakra has 4 petals and associated with the color red, and it is associated with the element earth. So when you're working with that chakra, you have to do 3 things to activate it. You have to do breathing exercises. It's called pranayama, where you go. Again, we talked about the central Sushumna, the central prana energy form, and then you have one on the left called Ida and one called Pingala. Just imagine the left one is where when you take a deep breath all the way and you feel it down in the belly, and you hold it just 1 second and you exhale from the other side. So you're trying to send the prana to awaken your Kundalini. The Kundalini is really over there. They describe, there is the serpent, which represents the female goddess in us. Then it's called Shakti. And of course, she's encircling a lingam. A lingam, actually, if you translate, it's like a vagina and penis, but it's not really a male-female thing. It's the consciousness represented by Shiva, which is the god of the universe that made everything. But it's like clay. If you don't have the Shakti to infuse consciousness and creativity to that, then it doesn't work. So we need Shakti. And this is why you try to kindle the flame inside of that area by breathing, sending the prana. And they describe also something called bundas, where you really contract your buttocks and muscles, and and at the same time you chant. There's a chant related to the element earth in that area, and it is Lom. So you close your eyes, you do the Lom, and you just imagine the Mother Earth and how it contributed to your existence, and how every molecule and cell in your body is made from the earth, and be thankful for that. And do the breathing and the movement, and then you will feel the energy kindling and really getting heated. And then once it does, it moves through that Sushumna, which is the central canal that takes the energy into second chakra, which is the Svadhisthana chakra, associated with the color orange and the element water. And of course, it has 6 petals, and it responds to the mantra, Vum. And this is a little bit more details. Obviously, you can make it, if you want to learn more about it, you can, but you have to do that. And this is where we talked about the essential oil. The first chakra, for example, it would be nice if you have diffused some patchouli, really good for that chakra. Pine is great, sandalwood, ginger, all the grounding. Those are essential oils that help you grounding and make you close to Mother Earth. Now, when you go to the second chakra, Svadhisthana, we have the element of water, and obviously the energy is moving that way. We talked about the mantra Vum, and we kind of try to do the breathing, especially at the muscles of the abdomen in that area. This chakra is 3 finger spaces below the navel, and you will feel the heat there. And once you feel the heat, you remember the water and how important water to our life, and we drink it, and it makes 80% or 60% to 80% of our body volume. And be thankful for that. And then the energy move up to the third chakra, which calls the Manipura chakra, which really means the abode of gems. And this is where all associated with the element of fire. And it makes sense. This is where we eat, below it is our transformation of energy from the food, the absorption. This is where you have the really assertiveness and the decision-making process. If you are really a strong person, if you have too much, you will be bossy and intolerable, obviously. And if you don't have enough, you will be shy, and and the same thing with animals. So this chakra has 10 petals and respond to the element. It's the element of fire, but responds to the mantra of Rum. So it'd be Rum. And actually, if you want to be more accurate about this particular yoga, the rishis described it. There's a form of yoga where you go up the mountain and visit temples and pay respect to deities that live in those temples and ask for their blessing. They really describe this yoga as similar. They superimpose, each god lives in one of those chakras, and you can actually, if you want to be more detailed about it, ask, for example, the Manipura, the fierce version of God Shiva, called Rudra, lives there. So if you want to be more accurate about that. So we move the energy. Now, once we move the energy up to the Manipura, then you don't have to do the kindling anymore. You are kind of getting to the good stuff. The next chakra is the fourth chakra, and it is associated with the color green. And we know heart chakra is the anahata. Anahata. The anahata literally means that could not be struck, killed, or injured, which really refers to the soul, our soul, and the animal soul that live in the heart, center of all centers, the compassion and love, and the relationship with the world and everybody. So that chakra has 12 petals and respond to the mantra Yom, and associated with the element of air. How appropriate is that? What's underneath it? There's the heart and the lungs and the thymus glands. So all the air apparatus that bring us the pranayama, basically the prana that comes from the air, the Chinese call it cosmic chi, to fuel our body. And then we pay respect to and be thankful to the air that comes in and help us with the oxygen and breathing. And as we do that, we move up to the next chakra, which is the Vishuddha chakra. The Vishuddha literally means untainted or pure. And that goes over, it has 16 petals. It is associated with the element of space. You notice how we're going from the most gross to the most subtle. The earth, now we are in the space, the astral form of our presence. So it has 16 petals. It responds to the mantra Hum. So you, literally, if you can do that, that would be great, and that will balance your chakra. It is also, you have to think each chakra reside over Western organs. You know, this one over the thyroid, the esophagus, and the larynx. The larynx has a special meaning in Eastern traditions. Anyway, once you get the energy all moving up there, the next station is the Anya chakra. The Anya, or the eyebrow, has only 2 petals, and nobody knows why the petals all of a sudden became not available. This is associated with the clairvoyance. I mean, psychic people, animal communicators are blessed with wonderful chakra over there. This area, and it makes sense, you have the pineal glands, which produce melatonin, and you have the pituitary gland, and literally there's a translation of Sanskrit describing the pineal gland and the pituitary gland and third ventricle, literally like Shiva and Shakti live in your brain. So if you are more open in that chakra, you will have more clear visions. You can see pictures and visions and into unseen area. It's not with an eye, it's with the brain. And it has 2 petals, and the mantra is Om. Some people use Shom for that. Of course, the color for that one is indigo. We didn't say the throat chakra is blue. So as you get the energy moving that way, and the only one left is the Sahasrara chakra. Sahasrara literally means 1,000 petal. And actually, if you look up the translation in the Sanskrit, they say it says infinity. So once the Kundalini Shakti reaches that area, it become one with the cosmic consciousness. It meets with Shiva, and then if you are meditating properly, you will be able to discover your new divinity within yourself. But for this purpose, now you open all those channels, so you are really more connected, more balanced. The energy that you're going to give your pets will be very balanced energy, because you are balanced yourself. If you can do that once a week, and if you think this is hard, just close your eyes and do it the other way around. You can just imagine a white light coming down to your head from the sky, massive amount of energy over your Sahasrara, and all of a sudden the light turns into purple light. It bathed the entire brain, the prefrontal cortex, and you feel the warmth in your brain, and you really appreciate that. Then the light moves down to your Anya chakra, and all of a sudden it changes into indigo color, and you feel blessed, and you feel you can see everything. You can see, you have intuition, and you are thankful for that. And then the light goes down to your Vishuddha chakra, the throat chakra, and all of a sudden the light changes into blue, and you feel all the blue filling your throat area, bathing your thyroid glands, your esophagus, and their larynx, and you feel thankful for that. You feel like you can speak and communicate and talk to everybody. And then all of a sudden the light goes down to your heart chakra, and it changes into green, and it feels luminescence, all green everywhere, love and compassion, cosmic feelings filling your heart. You feel the warmth, and then all of a sudden the light goes down into your Manipura, and it turns into an orange color. And you feel that in your stomach. It's all orange, it's balanced. You feel balance, and you have the right energy. The light continue to goes down into your second chakra, and then finally, obviously, the yellow to orange and then to red. That would be a quick way to kind of have the light pierces through your chakras, and you get them all balanced. So that's how I would do it myself. How do you do it with pets? That's the thing. You know, a lot of people, say, oh, all I would do is just put my hands on the dog's chakra. Yeah, I mean, that works because we know intentions are good, right? You have good intention, it helps a lot. There's another thing called where you think, energy goes, right? Literally, you can think about the Muladhara chakra, then energy will be directed that way. So, but pets in general, they get energy from different places. We're going to give them, now that we balance ourselves, and we did, the mantras, and we did the essential oil, and we clarified ourselves. And now our aura, we built a shield, a bubble shield around us that protect us from the low vibration people, the low vibration buildings, the low vibration machines. And then you have to really be thinking the 5G coming, that's going to make our life much worse with energy. You're going to get a lot of vertical energy attacking our bodies. But let's look at dogs. Dogs receive, and we do too, electromagnetic energy from the universe. It's a gift. And this is why they call it solar plexus, because we get from the sun electromagnetic energy, the beneficial one. It enter our body, then it affect our endocrine glands and our nervous system and our internal organs positively. And then that's the point of the chakra balancing of our pets. Once you touch the pets in the area that of interest, then you're going to combine things. We're talking about the energy that we accumulated from balancing our own chakra. So you really have to have an idea, is this chakra overactive or is it underactive? Obviously, once you're working on an animal, let's talk about the Muladhara chakra. This is the area where they have all the information they need to survive. This is fight or flight in dogs. That's what the chakra really at the base of the tail on each side. So if you have a balanced chakra, you have a good grounded dog, balanced. This is part of the pack. A dog part of the pack will have a good chakra. Their relationship with us, I mean, dogs intuitively know how to live and survive and eat and drink and play without our presence. But if they are balanced emotionally and physically, then their bond with us increase in that chakra. If they are underactive, they will be fearful of abandonment, fearful of hunger. They will be fearful of neglect, So if they are under balance, my technique to do that, obviously we talked about the essential oil. Let's talk about taking patchouli. And so what I would do, if you have an overactive chakra, you want to really put your hand on the base of the tail. If it's overactive, you want it to move it counterclockwise. Okay, so you are sedating the chakra. Now, if the chakra is weak or underactive, you want to do clockwise movement with the chakras. So your intention matter in which direction you do that. And obviously, when I talk about essential oil, I will be talking about young living, because there's, if you go and buy stuff on the market that has non-organic or vehicles that has toxins or impure, we know with young living, they control the farms, they control what's in it. And so you really, when I say that, I'm not saying, oh, go and get patchouli and just use it. So that's what you do with that chakra. But there's even more important from Western medicine. We know what's under that chakra. You have the hips. So hip dysplasia would be underactive chakra that needs to be balanced. You have the rectum, fecal incontinence, anal glands issue. I mean, dogs, we see that all the time. So you have to think about those organs underneath and how can those organs can be helped with the actual chakra balancing. So that's the first chakra. Muladhara, the same thing in dogs. 4 petals, the color is red, corresponds to element of earth. And anybody remember the mantra? Lom. So you have to really with an L, lom, huh?
Oh, lom.
Lom. So the second one, as you're working on it, is the Svadhisthana, or the sacral chakra. Sacral means the seat of existence. Literally, that's a translation of that. And dogs in that chakra, obviously with human, this is a sexual organs. Dogs are spayed or neuter. If they are breathing animals, that would be an issue too. But in this chakra, dogs pick up the emotions in that chakra. The emotions of happy and fear and anxiety in human. See, the clairsentience chakra in human is the heart. You know, you have a feeling about somebody or about situation or about an event, and guess what? It turns right because you picked it up with energy. Nobody told you about it. Dogs can do that too with their sacral chakra. They can, this chakra vibrates or feels the vibration of other dogs and beings and people around them. So happiness, sadness, fear, all that stuff, they can feel it there. It is also the male, female, yin and yang, male, female, the pleasure centers. In dogs, if you have a compulsiveness, it will be in that chakra. Same thing in human. So you have dogs that lick themselves all the time and lick the floor and chase their tail. And cats that overgroom themselves, they have imbalanced sacral chakra or overactive chakra. So you need to sedate that. Again, we talked about essential oils in that area of the sage. We talked about geranium is a very strong essential oil to really balance that chakra. And cedar wood is another one. So that's the second chakra.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, please.
So one thing Laura's asking if neutering can change that or block the chakra. But I also like to add with that chakra, I like the orange, everything from the orange tree. With the work that I do at the shelter, this chakra 9 out of 10 times is blocked, closed, not open. These dogs have been abandoned. Their emotions are all screwed up. They don't really know what to do anymore. And when I check with my pendulum is how I check. And 9 out of 10 times it just stops until I get oils on them. And I found petitgrain, which is from the orange tree. Dogs in the shelter love petitgrain. It is like the happy crack for them. It is amazing how they respond to it, and it was total trial and error that I found that. But it's definitely one of those oils that in that chakra, and I had no idea. Like this is stuff I kind of learned as I was going through this. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I'm seeing this on dog after dog after dog, and it's just because that's the environment that they're in.
Yes, I totally agree. I had good luck too with grapefruit in that it's a citrus group.
Yeah.
But you know, you probably Heather knows more than anybody with essential oil. You have to really let your animal pick the oil. That's why I'm giving you 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I got a list of like 8 for that one, you know, yeah. And it's intuitive. It's so intuitive. The dog knows.
It is. But you know, there's an important thing. You don't want to develop an aversion in animals to oil, because that would be hard to come back from. That's why you kind of let them sniff it, you know, and maybe put it on a piece of cloth and see if they like. They'll come and lick it if they like it.
Oh, they get sick.
Yeah. So, but that's really your approval from the pet.
Yeah.
That, hey, I love this. I mean, they know more than dogs know. Yeah. Dogs know why? Because they don't have a mind like we do. Okay, our mind over analyzes everything, and we sitting here today, and everybody over analyzing, saying, "Is this true? Maybe not." You know, we let our mind be part of the conversation, and the dogs, they're not skeptic. They look at that and say, yeah, hey, if it, you know, I love it. They don't say, oh, what are you trying to do to me? You know, you have bad intentions. So this really helps with energy work. You have to believe. Believing is a big portion of the treatment. And dogs and cats, all animals, they just trust us. And hopefully we have, you know, I don't doubt that everybody working with animals is really have good intention. But we need to use that to our advantage. But I agree with you. That's part of the citrus. And you have to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Now, when you go up to the next one, the Manipura, we talked about associated with the color yellow, the fire element. And it is the area where we have 10 petals. But this area, remember we talked about assertiveness, volition, getting the job done, hard working, and really that's related to all the energy we get from food and transformation. And so dogs will be confident, they would be just balanced, and they'll love what they do. And if they get too much, they will be bossy and trying to control all the other pets, even the owners. I mean, we see that. And if you have underactive chakra, you will have, you know, submissive, timid, low esteem animals. And this is, we can't neglect what's underneath it too. What is underneath it? You have liver and gallbladder and pancreas. Pancreas and liver are the 2 organs that so intimate with food transformation and extraction of what we call the gi-chi, which is the internal energy. I mean, there's different kind of prana. You have the cosmic prana, and so there's a lot of energy in that area. So you look at the adrenal gland, overactive adrenal gland, you're going to get Cushing's disease. Underactive adrenal gland, you're going to get Addison's disease. So and now you start to kind of say, I never thought about it this way. You get too much of this, you get disease. We put a label on it in Western medicine, but those are related to the internal organs underneath. And I don't just practice, all right, let's put a spot of oil and just kind of get it done. You have to do an integrative approach. I mean, we're talking about diet. We're talking about supplement like probiotics. I was reading research not too long ago in human medicine. They say if you took 7 days course of antibiotic, you need to take probiotic for 3 years to make up for the damage the 7 days did. So if you go with the 7 years per 1 year in animals, then they need 21 years of
lifetime. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you need to put them on that. We talked about the goat milk. We talked about there's granules. You can make your own kefir. amylase and lipase. If you have any dogs that have allergies or if they have pancreatitis or liver, they need amylase and tryptase. You need turmeric is a fabulous anti-inflammatory and hepatotrophic. You need omega-6, omega-3 fatty acids. You need good source of water. You need bone broth, maybe. That would be perfect. So it's more than just one thing. This is like a piece of the puzzle that you can add. It's like the icing on the cake. You know, you have the energy on top of all of that. Even Western medicine, if it's working, sometimes it may work against what we're doing. Let's say you put them on pred, they get massive amount of heat in the body, and you're trying to decrease the heat. So you really, if you know that your energy work, then you can say, hey, maybe we can talk to the doctor and see if they can use a medication that is cooler. Or maybe we can use a cooler protein like turkey instead of venison, which is hot, or fish, or so you really can manipulate the temperature or the prana or the energy in the body with food, water, supplement. There's a lot of things that is now, at least in the human field, coming up. I use it on animals too. We are the same, you know, to increase longevity in dogs and cats, to increase mitochondria functioning ability in the body. We are floating mitochondria. You have 150,000 of them. If they're not working properly, then your body not working properly. So you'll be ill all the time. So you have to balance all of those things. But I love this chakra because it's right in the center, and there's so many organs related to that chakra that we can be really working with. And of course, you get to the next chakra, going upward. We talked about the anahata or anahara. Literally, our soul lives there. But with the anahara, it responds to rosemary. Peppermint is fabulous for how many coughing dogs and bronchitis and asthmatic. Animals love to, if you diffuse that, it will help the breathing. And of course, you want to do the same thing. You want to do the mantra. Anybody remember the heart mantra? It starts with a Y, which would be Yom. You literally have to, you know, to say it, because the vibration of the sound correspond with the element of air in that chakra. And of course, like we discussed, the petals are 12, and love, peace. I mean, I see this chakra, probably Heather can comment on that. Pets that have their heart broken when they are young, working on second and third home, being in a foster home, they get their heart broken, and then they get timid and they get scared, and because they have underactive heart chakra. And this is where you come in, you try to balance that. Pets that were weaned prematurely, they didn't get enough nourishment when they were young, they will have an underactive chakra in that area. So it's important to work with those pets with the energy and the oil, and obviously we did acupuncture too. We do acupuncture. It kind of works from a different perspective. You go to the meridian where that energy is blocked. You literally block it physically and block it physically. So it's kind of when I work on Trig, her dog, we kind of do it in sequence. We adjust, we massage, we acupuncture, and we can see. I mean, I can feel certain areas will trigger nerve movement. Her dog, by the way, was paralyzed in February. And this is the beauty of chakra working. You can see the physical illness or disturbance way before you see the physical problem. So you can see the energy. Trig came to see me like a week or two before he was paralyzed. He was weak, and and I can feel his energy is really chakra. It was the 1, 2, and 3 chakras in a row. It was the sacral, and it was the the solar plexus, and the pelvic. All of them were blocked. And then a week later, he went down and was paralyzed. So you can see, if you work on animals regularly, you can feel the energy blockage before the actual disease happened. How beautiful is that? I mean, if you do it regularly, you can prevent it actually from happening if you catch it early. So energy blockage happened first, and then it translates, oh, blood and x-rays, like a month later, now you have liver issues or gallbladder. Or so if you catch it early, and that's the thing, we need to educate people that this is true. You know, a lot of people still don't believe in that, because we're living in a Western scientific world where everything has to be verified with an experiment. You have to reproduce the numbers. We went from the Atlantis time, where you have the clairvoyants, people that reach angels and communicate with higher beings, and you know, and then they abused it, and then we went through ignorance period in the world, and then the science and the Newtonian thing came on, and now we are like so arrogant, saying, well, if I don't see it, it's not there. You know, energy, what is energy? You know, if you take antibiotic, that'll be better. Or if you take steroids, you know, so we need to really, energy work is true, and it's there everywhere. Astral travel, astral projection, communication, that has been proven time after time after time. And we need to use that to our advantage. I don't see what we lose if you combine that work with Western work, right?
Yeah. You have to, I mean, you have to know your animals, and you know them best. And that's why I always say, like, you have to find a vet that works with you. And like, I can go into Dr. Akawi and say, something's wrong, I don't know what it is. He can put his hands on my dog and feel, and then we can have that back and forth communication and kind of help. But, you know, when the whole world went crazy was right when Trigger got hurt, and we had to take things into our own hands kind of at home. And it was like every modality that I had in my toolbox, we threw at him, you know, because Dr. Akawi was like, this is bad. Like, he saw him, I want to say it was a Wednesday, and he was drunk walking, and by Wednesday night he was paralyzed, like completely not walking. And we went back in 2 or 3 days later, and he's like, what the heck? Like, we're carrying him, we have to express his bladder and do everything for him. But literally he was on the couch bedridden for 3 or 4 weeks, I would say. But I mean, we're throwing tensor rings, we're throwing any kind of magnetic therapy, crystals, oils, multiple oil sessions a day. And you just have to know your dogs, and you have to have tools, because the way things are right now, like, you have to be able to have some control too, you know. But like he was saying too, like, all this stuff has been out there forever, and traditional medicine has kind of turned people's away from it, because it's, you know, a pharmaceutical based. And when Frank approached me and said, you know, he might need to have surgery, I was like, we have to not do that, you know, because last time he had surgery, he had a massive surgery when he was 4 months old, and then he got neutered when he was 10 or 11 months old, and he didn't bounce back really good from either one of them. So, you know, I thought putting him under would probably not be a good thing for him long term with what it was going on. But anyways, we got that far. It's now July, and this dog chased a rabbit last night awkwardly, but he doesn't. But you were talking about with heart chakra with shelter dogs, that's another one that's often closed or overactive. It could be a super lovey dog, or it could be a dog that just got dumped and they're just like, close down, bring Heather in, she needs to get these things, get these open. And when you see it open, literally they're like, just hold me, you know, they don't know what's going on. So using your oils, using your intention, and using those intention words are, you know, you're safe, you're going to be taken care of. You have to talk to them in that way. And I did that with Trigger a lot too. Like, we're releasing, you know, whatever the words come out, you just talk it out. You just talk it out and stay positive. So that's a big part of it too, because our stress does it to them too.
With that chakra, it helps a lot if you open your own heart chakra and try to balance their chakra. So it'd be from one chakra to another. because the heart is filled with love and compassion and goodwill, and it can translate cosmically. Really, you can do this from long distance too. I mean, but going back to the paralysis, I actually worked with a quadriplegic dog years ago, and I wrote a book about it. It's called Acupuncture Saved My Life because I was flabbergasted. That dog had surgery actually with Western medicine. Now that three discs in his neck, and he was just handed to the owner paralyzed even after the surgery. I don't know if Laura was working with me at the time. The owner, Jennifer Politis, is the president of the Humane Society. Anyway, I didn't know that this dog will actually benefit or even walk, and I wrote it down in my book. It's just amazing. 6 months of therapy with electroacupuncture and food and herbs and swimming and massage. It's called tuina and oil. And the dog walked. He was 8 years old and he lived another 6 years old. Teddy, his name. And and it's just like not like a misnomer or one case. We have dozens of Dachshunds that throw their back and people don't want to do surgery. Guess what? Acupuncture, electroacupuncture, herbs, energy work, and I trigger. That's what Trig had. He has not one. He has like 3 different discs in his body, and he ruptured one of them. And when I saw him the second time, he has no deep feeling. He couldn't use his bladder. He couldn't poop. He couldn't walk. And now he's walking. I mean, this is just amazing.
He bounces.
Amazing. Yeah, it is amazing. And it's amazing that you guys work with him that way. I mean, your energy must be fabulous. Your chakras must be really balanced too. I mean, you have to take some credit for that. But
Love
let's go, let's go back to our Vishuddha, which is the throat chakra. Again, associated with the color blue. This is the clear audience, the ability to speak and communicate your emotions with your dogs, other dogs, and with the owner too, right? You have dog that just doesn't communicate, rather than tell you they want to go out, or they just don't, or it's hard to really, probably Laura knows it, to do a lot of training and they just don't get it.
Yes.
They probably have an underactive Vishuddha or neck chakra. If you have an overactive one, have you ever heard about the yappy dogs? The one that they have an overactive Vishuddha. So you need to really calm that down and sedate it a little bit. Uh, Again, in Western medicine, hyperthyroid in cats. Guess what? Thyroid issues. Hyperthyroid is overactive neck chakra. It's called Graves' disease in human. In dogs, it's hypothyroid, underactive throat chakra. And this is all in this area. We know lavender works really good on this chakra. Also, bergamot work really good, and chamomile. Chamomile is another one. So that's associated with the element space. And do you remember the mantra, Laura, for that chakra? It starts with an Ed. Be a hum. Oh. Yeah, Elaine got it. Yes. So you really have to practice that when you're working on that chakra, and remember the
Yes. Wax on, wax off.
So the next one is the Anya. The Anya is one of my favorites because this is really the clairvoyance. We all need some clairvoyance. Some people have more than us. The psychic around. Do we have a lot of psychics tonight? Animal communicators. Those probably endowed with fabulous Anya chakra because they can see things we can't see. We have the ability to see, and that's what you want. If you train that chakra, you have the ability to be able to see, be more intuitive And that's a nice ability to have, right? Not just with animals, with everything. You can see things going to happen, right? So, but I think because of what's underneath it, the pineal gland, uh, if you read books about evolution, and if there's actually some books I read about the structure of the pineal gland, they found out it has similar structure to the retina, the eyes, the cones and rods. And if you read long time, I mean, millions of years ago, evolution, we used to have the pineal gland out here. I don't know how, if this is how the rishis envisioned that, like that gland with evolution went inside and it became the pineal gland. So now it's there, but can you activate the evolutionary genes that control the seeing the pictures intuitively? Yes, you can. You just have to work on it. But even with hormones like pineal gland with melatonin and precursor serotonin, and you have epinephrine, there's a lot of neurotransmitters in that area that help that. A lot of people that have psychic ability and intuitive feeling, they describe when they close their eyes, they see luminescent green light emits just before they get the vision, which really the work of the melatonin and the pineal gland. So those guys have really a developed gland. Anyway, the Anya has two petals associated with the color indigo, and the mantra for that, you can use Om or Shum. It's because it's so close to, so close to the crown chakra. And of course, it's associated with the same thing with animal, intuitive and communication, and being able to assimilate and live properly and communicate with the owner and other dogs. This is more important if you have multiple household pets that are able to kind of communicate together and live happily thereafter. If you have one that have less ability to communicate, they always get into fights and they always get into frustration because of inability to predict what's going to happen.
Is that Bob's problem?
Huh?
Is that Bob's problem?
They actually, cats develop that more than any other animals. They can actually not only develop it, they can draw boundaries in a household. I saw a video of infrared light done in Britain in a multiple household, and they were able to see things cats drew with their scent to break down the territory, and each cat respected that territory. The one that didn't ended up at the vet with scratch and bite wounds. So it's amazing that you can translate that with neurotransmitters into an actual actionable scent that draw boundaries from that, because also the scent is part of that. And lastly, the Sahasrara, which is the 1,000 petals. Again, if you really have a dog that is enlightened or spiritually balanced, how could you really determine that? I think it would be one that say, hey, he's just perfect, a perfect dog or a perfect cat. It fits perfectly, there's no problems, it's considerate. But we see in Western medicine, we see a lot of medical issues. In addition, of course, you can have an underactive chakra where they are detached and not connected and just kind of lethargic and all of that. But if you look at Western medicine, I think canine cognitive dysfunction disease is associated, and dementia in older dogs, associated with underactive Sahasrara chakra, and probably combination of Sahasrara and Anya chakra. So that's where, with the Sahasrara, yang jasmine and neroli works really good. Those are three essential oil. But in an overactive chakra with that will be seizures, right? You have too much energy in that sphere, so you can have seizures. So you really uh, have to pay attention what's underneath that chakra and say, huh, so supplement and uh, energy work and chiropractor adjustment. That's another thing that is so helpful. It's really under, I mean, it is, people do it for themselves, but in the energy points, if you have uh, subluxation in the back around your Manipura chakra, that chakra will be imbalanced too. So simply by